These podcasts are going to get a whole lot worse with the child now.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I'm just noise quality. You're always worried about noise reduction. Oh, you got to get closer to the mic.
that's what I figured. We'll leave him here for this one because it's just me and you. That's usually a shit show anyway.
Hey,
Just saying. We're all over the place.
this is true.
Mm-hmm. So if I got to get up and take care of the baby, no biggie. Pigeon poppers.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
For those of you...
I keep hitting that fifth wisdom tooth, though.
Dude, I got a tooth problem too. Have I told you? I got like some temporary pack in there right now. I'm trying it, like, my nerve was exposed. You know how much that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's terrible, dude. I was up north, and thank goodness it didn't cause me any issues up there. But as soon as I got home, the temporary pack I had came out, and then it was like, oh my god.
So that little fix-it thing you had over the metal stud?
Mm-hmm. For those of you who are wondering, I can see my child on the monitor right now. It was the same thing, same material, just up here.
Okay.
And that stuff, see, what's he doing? He's not really mad right now. But that stuff, when I have it up in my tooth, that stuff, like, it like loosens up. It doesn't, like, pack in tight like that other stuff. If I bite wrong, it'll jam up into that nerve all over again.
Yeah.
It sucks so bad. So I'll have, like, days where ibuprofen pretty much cuts it. And then I'll have days where it feels like my face is actually on fire. So,
Yeah, I just
no bueno.
That wisdom tooth is coming in sideways. Like, it's more common than you think to have more than 4, but dude, I had 4 of them cut out when I was 16. What the hell?
I think you're the first person I know of that has had more than 4 wisdom teeth.
Well, you know what?
I only had 3. Maybe you got my extra.
I'd imagine they would have taken the 5th fucking one out when it was in there, but maybe it wasn't all the way up yet. Who knows? Just growing extra teeth. I'm a shark.
Oh man, so yeah, these pigeon poppers though, that's exactly why I love to shoot those things. You can do a lot with it, man. It's almost like a little miniature duck breast.
They're awesome. So I used to shoot them out of my uncle's barn, and I'm just saying, Michigan, it'd be a whole lot easier if you let me kill doves because I could shoot them when I was rabbit hunting too, provided you make the season long enough.
Mm-hmm.
But pellet gun in the barn so you don't put a hole in the roof. Pigeons are awesome. They've always tasted kind of like, pretty much just like venison, dude. They're like a little tiny piece of venison backstrap.
Yeah, well, to me, yeah, and you're not wrong. But to me, they kind of remind me of a lot more like a duck, like a mallard duck.
Okay. So the most recent duck that I had was farm raised, and prior to that, it was wood duck. And wood duck, to me, tastes exactly like venison.
And I don't think I've ever had wood duck.
Wood ducks have less of a aquatic diet and more of like, not grain, but they don't sit there and eat fish pieces and shit off the lake.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, I don't know what their actual diet is, but I've been told that it's like they'll go after like tree nuts and shit.
I've heard that too, actually. But hey, I'm going to go grab the kid and readjust. In the meantime, you should explain our listeners how we doubled up the other day.
Oh.
And I'll be listening in the meantime and join in when I get back.
Sounds good to me. So, the other day, being he's out of here, we actually got the opportunity to go and sit on his fiance's horse farm, which he built a big box blind on for the owner of the property. Well, the owner of the property was out of town, and he said, you guys get to hunt it in November. Both of us had doe tags left. I've had a rough season because they decided they were going to till my bean field, the first time it's ever been tilled in the last, 30 years in the fall. So as soon as gun season hit, I had one day where it's like, yeah, opening day is awesome. I saw a bunch of different deer. They all skirted the edge of the field. It was nothing I really wanted to shoot that I had a good shot at, and then they were gone. The next day, everything had checked out the field. They knew, nope, there's no food there. Screw this. So Brent was gracious enough to have me come out with him. And the first sit in this blind, we both got to go up, kind of chill out and whatnot. And, it's real wide open. You can see damn near 1,000 yards. We're about ready to call it quits. We're like, nah, man, it's too open. There's a foot of snow on the ground. There's nothing out here. We can't see tracks. And turn around and look behind, and I'm like, oh crap, there they are. There's a group of 3. I only saw 2 at first. But I smacked him on the shoulder, and he just immediately, he didn't even look. He grabbed his gun and got down on the rest, and he's like, "Where's that?" Found her, get him a range. And
169, I do believe.
it was 159, so when you asked me the second time, I said 160.
Yes.
And to your credit, your height was perfect on that.
I pretty much put the bullet right about where I was aiming. The problem was I aimed too far back.
I was going to say, did you aim at the center of the deer?
I was off a little bit, but I wasn't. This is not the first time I've done that, and I'm going to readjust. I think next time, anything over 50 yards, say, screw saving the heart. I'm just going to put the shit where it needs to be, right behind the shoulder blade. Screw counting the ribs, because that's what I always try to count a few ribs back. But when they're at 160 yards, man, I mean, that's maybe I'm just not judging right, I guess.
Well, and that's, you shoot, you were shooting at 350.
It wasn't like back. It wasn't quite a gut shot, but it was like right about where the diaphragm is, I feel like.
Probably got liver and stomach at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like it was like right at the very bottom of the rib cage right there.
But
when I got up to her, I'm like, fuck, that's not.
It wasn't too far of a shot. Like you said, you hit exactly where you were aiming, but
Not
it was
exactly where I was aiming, but
it was just too far back. You compensated. You counted too many, and at that far, you can't really see each individual rib very well.
Well, exactly. So, and the chaos of the moment. Like I said, that's the second time that's happened to me. So I think next time, I'm just putting it on the shoulder, dude.
And that's kind of what I've started doing. Like with the wind, I will give myself, because those 350s move a lot in the wind. Anything past 150, that bullet gets pushed around so much with a crosswind. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. That's actually how I missed the first one I shot at this year. I didn't think about it. I didn't have my ballistics chart up. And it was like a 190, 200 yard shot. Well, I had a 30 mile an hour crosswind at 200 yards. I'm thinking the same as my 308, man. Thing shoots flat, bucks the wind, awesome.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, I'll compensate by about 8 inches. And, I want to hit it right behind the shoulder. I'm going to go about center of the deer. Just a little bit off the center of the deer. Nope. Not even close. That bullet moved 28 inches according to the ballistics chart that I was looking at, the ballistic calculator on Winchester site. And I believe it. I mean, I pulled the trigger and she looked up and then took off. I completely missed that fucking deer. Right in front of her. My height was probably perfect, I'm guessing. But with the crosswind, with a 28-inch drift where I was aiming, I had a shot right in front of her.
Yeah.
That was a clean miss by at least 6 inches.
Clean miss is better than
what I'm pretty sure happened the other night. That we both looked and there was no sign anywhere. But
it's also tough, man, when they got that. We'll tell them what happened.
Well, why don't we go back to the doubling up in the blind?
Yeah, you never finish that?
No, we'll finish that one. I was getting into the whole story. But anyways, you got yours, and it was weird because he shot his, and it ran up. He tells me, get on yours. I'm like, I don't see it. Where's it at? And I was just going to keep watching yours because yours ran up like 50 yards and just stood there.
Hunched up like it was gut shot.
And that's when we realized, like, okay, either didn't hit where you were aiming or clipped a limb coming through the tree line, something. Didn't see mine at all. Finally, it was a solid 60 seconds later, a good minute and a half, something like that. You're like, oh, there's yours. I'm still on my scope watching your deer. So I just swing over. I'm like, oh, okay. Didn't even think about range. I don't remember if I asked you to range it for me or not, but I know you were still in your scope. And
you did, but I remember specifically saying she's in the same spot.
Right. And when I shot for 160, I know my gun. She had to be like 175, 180, which is a big difference for my gun. It's like a 4-inch difference because I've got that short barrel. And I hit a little lower than I would have expected if she was at 180. but there's no fucking way that deer was at 160. I mean, I took out the diaphragm on this deer. Not the diaphragm, the sternum. I almost missed this deer. But luckily, it opened up the bottom of the deer because of the bullet I'm using. And it did the same thing as Brent's. It ran right up next to it and just stood there kind of hunched. Now, I didn't center punch mine, so it was a nice gut job.
Mine was a little sneaky. I'm still listening.
But
I want to say, though, mine wasn't a total gut shot. It was like, if I remember right, it was like right where the diaphragm is.
so he's saying his was right where the diaphragm was, and I don't know. I didn't actually look. I didn't gut his deer. We doubled up. It was awesome, but
Oh, it was a hell of an experience.
I'm pretty confident mine was farther than I thought, so my shot was kind of shitty because it was low. Got up to him, and we walked up as quick as we could and put another round in him, dispatched him real quick, just shot him in the neck. But that was the first time I've doubled up on deer with somebody, especially.
Me too.
I mean, that was awesome first sit in the blind that you built for Pete.
Yeah, that was the first sit, and that was it was funny because as soon as we sat down, we both said the same thing. We're like, I bet they're going to come from there though, because it's so wide open.
Right. I mean, that's the only way they can come from, and I've seen them out there before. I'm pretty sure I've seen that group multiple times.
Right.
But
yeah, it was just because I had looked like I had Mama, you had one of the babies.
yeah, I wasn't going to talk about that part.
Well, I was just saying because I got the one in the front.
Yeah, well, and
That's just how that worked out.
that's when the third one showed up, and you're like, "There's the third. Shoot that one too." Like, wait, I don't want to shoot that one. That was a fawn. You didn't know the other one was a fawn?
Right. That's what I was like.
No, I wouldn't have shot it if I did. Like, don't get me wrong. If it's the last day of season and I haven't killed a deer, everything's in trouble. But I mean, it's been a tough ass season. I wasn't ready to shoot fawns yet. That's not something that I typically do.
Yeah, I don't do it on purpose. I've done it.
Well, that's what made me laugh when I said, I don't want to shoot that. That one's a fawn. You're like, wait, you didn't know the other one was a fawn? No, didn't know that one, bud. It was just spur of the moment. I wasn't looking at it, and you said, yeah, there's yours. Oh, okay. Swung over and pulled the trigger within 5-10 seconds. And
Well, it was.
I wasn't paying attention.
Well, exactly, and you guys all know how it goes, man. I mean, for those of you who have ever doubled up with somebody, this is my third attempt at doubling up with somebody.
Yeah.
Twice with Ray, and both of those times ended up being a shit show, because the first time group of does comes through, and this is up north. Me and Ray, my buddy, we hunt together. For those of you that listen to RFF, that Ray. So we're sitting in the blind. He's like, shit, here they come, and I'm facing one way, he's facing the other. So I kind of get turned around. He shoots the first one. Okay, my turn. And I was at that time shooting a 44 cal slug out of a muzzleloader. The only doe I had a shot at, it was like a softball size window, man. And I just let her fly. Boom. She fell, got back up and ran off. We're high-fiving. Fuck yeah, And mind you, there's like a good amount of snow on the ground. Tracking should be easy. Well, we thought that doe that he shot was 30 yards in front of us. Turns out, after an hour of looking, it was 70 yards. And he was shooting her with his brother's gun, with his brother's ammo, with the 308 Full Metal Jacket.
The Full Metal Jacket, yeah.
So it was like somebody took a pencil and put it right through the damn deer.
Yup,
So she barely bled. Mine, from the best we could figure, it flattened out before it hit her and just smacked her in the ribs and knocked her down, or she fell. Like she slipped and fell, which what yours might have done. We'll get into that here in a second.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
But like, so those are my first two attempts, or that was the first attempt, and it ended up being we found Ray's deer. She was deader than shit. He nailed her. But like, in the chaos of the moment, nobody's keeping track of whose deer is doing what.
Right.
So normally you shoot a deer. You keep an eye on it as long as you can. And here's a piece of advice. We're going to get into this story in a minute. I always like to grunt. If I shoot a deer, especially with a bow, if I shoot it right after and as it's running away, I'll grunt at it. Or if I can't find my call, I'll snort, wheeze, whatever.
Yeah.
It's something I read in like Outdoor Life, like when I was little. It's something about it slows them down and it makes the tracking easier.
Well, they don't know what's going on, so if they're startled and they hear another deer or what they think is another deer, they're like, "Wait, what?"
Right, yeah. Especially when they're rutting.
Right.
We'll get into the full story, but the big buck I shot this year, I shot him. He ran off. I did that, and he stopped, turned around, and fucking came right back. It would have gave me another. He did give me another shot, but he would have gave me another close shot if he didn't bust me reaching for my rangefinder. But the second time, me and Ray tried for a double. That same goddamn gun, different ammo. He had that Savage 308, and I'm a Savage fan. I love Savage, but I mean, the first time wasn't the gun's fault. It was the ammo choice.
Yeah.
But this time, dude, Ray never gets on his phone. I give him shit because I'm always on my phone. We're hunting together. Anyway, Ray's never on his phone. The first time ever, he like sent a text message or something, and he looks up. He's like, "Son of a bitch!" There's a doe like 10 feet in front of him, and he's like, to his credit, I don't know where the hell she came from either. She didn't make a damn noise, and it was dry as shit that day. I remember that.
It just poof, it materialized.
Yeah, here she is, and so he pulls his gun up, flips the safety off, and we're waiting. Like, Ray, shoot. Ray, fucking shoot. He's like, I'm trying. And I'm watching him pull the fucking trigger, and nothing's, like, not a click. Like, the firing pin never went. I'm like, is your fucking safety off? He's like, yeah, motherfucker. And finally, he's like, fuck it. And racked another shell. Obviously, the doe took off.
Right.
So and there was more behind her, so we could have had a double, but it ended up being a fucking mess because like they all took off, and again I had like a tiny little window through a bunch of brush. Then I was shooting the 6.5 Creedmoor,
Yeah.
and to my credit, I mean I fucking hit her, killed her.
I have something about your 6.5 you got to remind
But when
me
I got
later.
up to her, it was the size of a beagle.
Yeah, that was the one that you. Yeah, we were just.
Like literally, I'm not kidding. The size of her sirloin tip roasts were about the size of this mouse.
They weren't that damn small.
They were fucking. It was like a Nerf ball.
That's one of the ones you can throw against the shed and play catch with yourself with, maybe.
Right.
I wasn't an only child.
Hey, you had a brother.
Yeah, he just didn't like me, and my parents split, and they didn't like me either.
Anyway, you were gonna say something.
Oh, about your 6.5, you've got bullet drop issues with that, and I was talking to my brother about that with like the Savage Model 99s and stuff, and there's certain guns that the bullet, like the twist in the barrel, is for a certain grain bullet to make it stabilize. I don't think your shit's stabilizing with the heavier grain bullets because you've got a lighter twist, like your brother's. He has a more intense twist, so it stabilizes the 149 grains.
So the drop issue, I shoot a Ruger 6.5. My brother shoots a Savage 6.5 with a longer barrel, tighter twist. Was shooting a heavier bullet between 200 and 300 yards. He had I think a 4-inch drop, and I had like a 15-inch drop or whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't think your bullet's stabilizing. I think if
I agree. But
instead of shooting the 140s and the 120s, get the lightest bullet you can and see what it does.
I got 95s.
Shoot them. I bet you that they don't drop at all.
Is that enough knockdown? I mean, that's enough knockdown power for an antelope, but
It's enough for a whitetail. Dude, people shoot
Yeah.
whitetails with 223s.
yeah, you're right. You're right. It just seems so light compared to everything else, but yeah, you're right. It's the same.
I shoot 150s out of my 350 Legend. You see what that 150 does compared to your 180s.
This is how you know we don't do any prep. Because this is a legit discussion.
I mean, it's pinball, but it's camp talk, and it's good info. I do
No,
have
it is.
I've got that video from that first one I shot, the one that I actually hit because I figured the wind. I knew better this time.
Keep going. I gotta fix this blanket.
But the first doe I shot, I had been seeing a bunch of stuff on like the Woodsman on the Facebook page and Michiana Monsters, people making comments about the 350 Legend not leaving a blood trail or losing deer or what bullet they're using and whatnot. And some people were saying they were shooting the 150 grains and not getting a blood trail, but they didn't specify whether or not it was 150 grain, the Winchester Deer Season XP, or if it was some other random 150 that I don't know about. Well, I shoot the 150 deer season XPs from Winchester, and if you hit really high on the deer, it's hard to get a blood trail because going in, it's going to leave a 35 caliber hole. Coming out, it might leave a half-inch hole.
That entrance hole in that one.
Well, that's because I clipped a rib and I clipped a leg and it was at 200 yards. But the hole in the hide itself isn't that big. What happens inside the deer is crazy. Now, the first one that I shot, I took a video of the blood trail. I went about halfway up to where I shot the deer because it was a 200-yard shot. There was no point in me going all the way up. But I shot her. She was slightly quartering towards, and I hit right at kind of like the ball and socket where the mid-leg bone meets the shoulder blade, and just blew the heart in half. Now, this deer came bolting back towards me at an angle, just spraying blood the entire time through the field, covered the snow. You can see it in a freaking cell phone video, so it clearly it's a good blood trail. It's a walking trail. She gets back to the wood line, drops, gets up, runs back out into the field, and just falls over. Now, I've never seen a deer do that with a heart split in half, but I've got the photo evidence. It literally just, like an open-faced sandwich, it splayed open. Like, holy shit. Well, I can't eat that.
So I've been half distracted with the baby. Are we talking about the double the other day, or
no? This is the first
Your
one.
double.
The first one that I shot. No,
Okay.
the very first one I shot. When I took the video of the blood trail, I was going to show you in the blind, but I didn't want the sound on. And that right there shows it's not the gun, and it's not that bullet. Now, I've had issues with other 350 rounds. That's why I took the video. That is the one that I recommend everyone shoots at a whitetail. And if you have a good shot, you'll have a good blood trail.
I can. So I've been shooting the 180s. I don't know if you talked about this already, but I've been shooting the 180s. No exits, but it tears them up. I mean,
Right.
they're done. When you go to gut them, you're like, damn. But I've heard people bitch about the blood trails with the 350s, and I
Yep.
think that, like we were just talking about with the ammo choice.
If you make a good shot, if you're within the lower half of that deer with those 150 grains, you will have a good blood trail. And that's just what I've seen. I mean, honestly, at 200 yards, that destroyed the inside of that animal, and it got to pass through. At 100 yards, there is so much energy in that bullet. It's opening up so much. Usually, I don't get an exit at 100 yards, but they don't go more than 40 because there is so much energy that it just jellifies the entire chest cavity.
Right. Well, that was a thing. So, like, I wanted a 450. I still want a 450. I'm going to buy one next summer. Only reason I didn't this summer was there's no point. Why?
You want to talk about meat loss and the expensive bullets?
We'll get into that. I love the 450s. Now, that's what I wanted. This 350 was Allie's. It's her dad got it for her for Christmas last year. Obviously, baby, she hasn't been able to get out.
Right.
So I've been using it. And it's a DAC driver.
Oh, yeah, they're damn
It's
good
a
guns.
good gun. It's a really good gun. Just from the evidence I've seen from the 450 from other people, as far as blood trails and damage, and as far as flat
Now-
shooting and shit. I know they're expensive, more expensive as far as bullets go and shit, but
I'm going to stop you, though. I've seen the same posts about 450s. It's all about bullet choice.
and yeah, I mean, I haven't seen any, but I believe it.
But continue.
And it's just I like the 450s.
You got that fucking, that grr mentality. Like, bigger's better.
No, it's because when the 350 Legends first came out, like we were just talking about the blood trail, like there was a lot of people bitching about that. My brother, I can't remember exactly what the issue was, but I remember him talking about that too. He shot a doe and there was like, she only went like 20 yards. Shot her twice, but there was like no exit wound, no blood trail. I mean, and that shit can get, I mean, like,
Well, that's the problem with the first year or two they come out with a new round. They're still developing the damn ammunition.
right. I just like a nice, I mean, fuck it. If I could shoot a 12 gauge as well as I shoot my inline muzzleloader, I would use a 12 gauge. You know? What?
You can. I don't know
I
why.
can't. I suck with it. I can't shoot 200 yards with a 12 gauge.
Well, I have without a scope, but I didn't know it was 200 yards at the time. It took me 3 shots to hit the deer, but I hit it in the heart.
Hi, buddy.
I don't know why he didn't run from the first 2, but
I'm just saying, I like a nice big fat slug. If you're using the gun, you know what I mean. So like
I
a
get
44 slug or a 45 slug, perfect.
it should leave bigger entrance, bigger exit. It does make sense.
Every blood trail
for
I've
tracking.
seen, every blood trail I've seen in person with the 450 has been like somebody took a red paint can, opened it up, and just went berserk in the middle of the woods.
Well, I mean, you're essentially shooting the same thing as a 50 cal muzzleloader
Yeah,
with 150 grains of powder or 100 grains of powder. It's basically the same bullet.
only you can rack one and double up pretty damn easy.
Right. I mean,
That's why I like them. I love my muzzleloader. I shoot a 50 cal muzzleloader with a 44 slug and a sabot.
dude, they have to be almost identical round, like actual projectiles. They have to be damn near the same.
I'm sure. I feel like the slugs I shoot out of that muzzleloader though are a little bit heftier.
No, they're 250.
Those are 250 grain.
Some of them, yeah. Some of the 450s are 250 grain rounds.
No shit. That's awesome.
Some of
I
the
was shooting 240s out of the muzzleloader.
I can get a 220 grain for my 350 that's a subsonic.
But the thing is, with my muzzleloader, might as well sell the shit because don't really need it.
Well, down here, yeah.
I foresee there being a change though soon. I think Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Michigan's going to make some changes.
Once they see how many deer get reported during muzzleloader season this year, I think it might take a year or two, but I think it's going to change.
What I foresee happening is like, so they barely gave the deer a break this year. It was like normally
It was a day.
it was a day. Like normally it's, firearm season ends, December 1st, nobody can do shit besides bow hunt. And then usually until like the 7th, the 10th, the 14th, somewhere in there, then you get a 2-week muzzleloader season or a week-long muzzleloader season, whatever the hell it used to be. And then there's late antlerless and all that jazz until about January, and then you might get one more late season, but then you're done. This year it was like, not only did they not give them but a day of a break, but in Michigan, for those that don't know, there really is no muzzleloader season anymore. You can use whatever you want.
Not whatever.
Legal.
Whatever's legal during
Whatever's
regular
legal.
firearm.
Exactly.
And it's not all of Michigan.
I didn't realize that.
No, it's not all of Michigan. It is below the rifle line. So it's zone 3 plus like 7 or 8 counties.
Okay.
But because above the rifle line, obviously you've got necked wall cartridges, 308, 30-06, whatever. And they're like, no. I don't know if you can use straight wall and shotguns up there for muzzleloader or not.
I don't know.
I haven't, I don't live there, so I haven't looked into that.
Me neither.
But I know that they're not like, hey, whatever's legal during regular firearm you can use. They're like, no, not up here. That's only zone 3.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. But either way, that's still below the rifle line. There's a shit ton of fucking deer behind,
Well, that's why they do it. We have a population
Yeah.
problem down here. The lower half of the lower peninsula is crazy for population. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the ag fields or what.
It's got to be. Because you go up by the cabin up by Lake County, dude. You'll get in some spots where there'll be some agriculture, but for the most part, dude, there's fruit farms. There's a lot of fruit farms up there north of Grand Rapids, but
And that's really good to draw them in, but I feel like fruit's not actually great for them.
it rots so fast.
It is. It's not a year-round food source, so it's quick in, quick out.
Yeah. I mean, like right now, I don't even know about right now, but as of like 2 weeks ago, I know the deer were still hitting the crab apples and the apples pretty hard because the ones that were still ripe they were just eating them up.
Yeah, because you fucker, you've got like 19 apple trees out back you didn't know about.
Typke's been hunting. I know. I knew about most of them, but there's more than I realized.
Bastard.
Yeah, because we had a real heavy mass this year.
Uh-huh.
And,
Had a heavy mass of apples and my field got tilled under. I wonder why I haven't seen any fucking deer this year.
yeah, Typke's had a rough season. I do feel for you. Because you got out there late. You didn't even really start bow hunting until like the end. And then,
Nah, dude, I was so busy because I was always fixing your truck and
I was gonna
fixing
say,
shit
you
at
were
your
fixing my
fiance's
shit.
horse farm and trying to take care of some side jobs. Some of them you helped me line up, but it's like, man, it's warm and it's bow season. Fuck it. My scope broke on my crossbow. I don't care. I'll get them during gun season. And then I saw a quad track tilling the field the day before gun. Like, fuck.
I told you.
No.
I told you they were cutting that shit.
No, cutting, I don't give a shit. If there's bean stubble, it's fine. I got the picture from a trail cam sent to me at work when they dropped the disc in the field and pulled a quad track past it. No.
All I know is I drove down Linko and I was like, hey, man, they're cutting that other field. And you're like, oh, man, they're something about like they're not going to get to mine for a while. And then it was like that day they cut it. And then it was like shortly after they tilled it all up. And then you were like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, no, it was, so that day was the first day I was planning on hunting. And they cut that field down the street. It's the same farmer. I figured, no, he's going to haul that in and he's going to wait. But little did I know, he was in a hurry because the beans were perfect moisture. So he's like, all right, I'm just going to dump them straight in a semi and haul them in. Fuck. I don't care if you're cutting the beans. That's awesome. That helped me. He went around and he opened up every single bean field. It's like, okay, that's weird. That's really weird. But what they did is they had 2 combines. So they had little one to go in to open up the field. And they went in, they opened up this field, that field, this field, that field. That's why they got to mine so quick. They didn't pick it off. They just opened it up and then moved down the road. So, yeah, there was that. But the beans were so damn tall, I couldn't shoot deer past 30 yards anyways.
Right. And they were dry. I mean, they still eat them when they're dry, obviously, but...
Oh, they eat the shit out of them still. But, yeah, it's been a hard season, for sure.
Yeah, you had a pretty bad string of luck there.
I didn't blame them one bit, though. Like I said earlier, that field hasn't been tilled in the fall for 30 years. It needed to be done. I knew it was coming. I just didn't know it was coming that quick.
Well, I, on the other hand, had a pretty damn good season.
Yeah, you lucky bastard.
So there's a hay field that was just put in on the property. What would you say that it's like? What, 2 acres, 3 acres?
Somewhere in there, yeah. This is the start of why my hunting's been going downhill for the last 3 years. He's a mile down the road from me, by the way.
So we put in this 2 or 3 acre hay field.
For that, I'm going to eat your pigeon poppers.
You go right ahead. That's some damn good pigeon. And on top of that, we had a real heavy mass as far as fruit. Like, I noticed it with the pears out here at first. We have 3 pear trees in our driveway. And I was like, damn, we never have that many pears. And all the apple, and because it was dry pretty much, like all through like August and September and all that. It was just weird how.
That's why they do it.
Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea.
It's like grapes. If you make them struggle, they produce more sugar and more fruit.
Oh, okay. The more you know. So.
Yeah, I used to work at a winery in Virginia.
So, anyway, and I have apple trees and crab apple trees all over here, plus the hayfield and the creek. So they were set. And with a newborn, I wasn't really. I didn't know how much I was going to get to hunt. So early season, I took my dink and I took the 2 doe in September during that weekend early hunt.
Yeah, they had that early doe.
So I already had 3 deer in the freezer. I was able to kick back and do a little bit of selective hunting. Was able to take down how old do you think he was? 4.5? I never checked his teeth.
I didn't either. I mean, you took him to the taxidermist, so that would have been the one to be like, hey, why don't you pull that jawbone for me? Did you cape him yourself, or did you?
Yeah, I caped him.
Would you? Well, okay, so I never saw the jaw or anything, but just based off the way he looked, I'd say he was at least 4.5.
Well, so what happened was, hunted all through October, saw a shit ton of deer. But like I said, already had a couple in the freezer, wasn't too worried about it. Passed on a lot of dinks. It actually came to full draw on he had a really tall, wide rack for a 1.5 years, but real bad limp on him. But I was coming back in from another tree stand, and I saw him by the creek, and I was just intrigued. So I kind of cut across and cut him off, and came to full draw at 30 yards, and just let down, couldn't do it. There's so many big
don't
bucks
blame
out
you.
here, you know, and I wasn't struggling for the meat. I kind of felt bad about it because I really felt like I should have put him out of his misery. I don't know if he made it. I haven't seen him since.
He's probably fine.
Probably. I mean, they're tough animals, you know. Chris Reynolds was the one. Shout out to Chris because he was like, good choice, man. He's like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Dude, I've seen pictures of deer walking around with holes through them. Not like they got shot and it's a week later. Like, it fucking healed.
Now, I'll tell you this. If I didn't already burn up one of my buck tags, I would have shot him.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I would have shot him in a minute.
That's why I like 2 buck tags.
And honestly, I mean, I might do things a little bit differently next year, being a little bit more selective even more, just because of the amount of does here. Plus, dude, there's a lot of good bucks. Like, I've seen them, you know, this year, plus on camera.
I tried telling you that when you started hunting over here. I was like, there's a lot of big ones. It's just getting them out during the day is the hard part.
Well, this year, it was, like I said at the beginning of the season, I didn't know how much I was going to get. I mean, I shot 3 deer before he was even born. So, in anticipation of being like, I'm on lockdown. But
bow season is awesome around here.
I love it. Oh, it's so much fun.
Gun, you've got 3 days. And then you're shooting does.
That's extremely accurate. Yep.
I've been hunting here since I was 13, so I hope I have an accurate
I've been hunting here since 2020, and I can say that it's.
Yeah, you've got about 3 days of buck movement, good buck movement during gun season, and then you're fucked.
Which is so fucking weird. But then again,
it's the Orange Army, dude. I can see 4 people from my tree stand.
Again, it was
not on my property.
I want to say it was after Thanksgiving, but I remember I sent you that video, dude. I saw how many. Dude, every one of those bucks, there was like 5 of them within 200 yards of each other. All of them over 2.5. There was a couple that were giants, but it was like...
Well, and that was...
I've never seen that shit before in my life. There was so many in one concentrated little area.
So what was that, Thanksgiving?
It was right around Thanksgiving. Yeah, it was after Thanksgiving.
It was the Friday after. Because that was the Friday I went out that evening.
Yep.
And that is when my neighbor
pulled some shit.
Yeah, well, he's not actually my neighbor. Somebody hunting on the neighboring property. Let's just say I don't like prison, so you're lucky. But that deer should have been on my wall, buddy. Hopefully you listen and you know who you are. Because count your good graces that I decided jail wasn't for me.
Oh. What's it? Well, So this hayfield I've been hunting. I just want to stick with this because there's some shit that really bothers me, and I don't even know if we've talked about this. Yeah, we have actually. The neighbor.
Oh,
and his fucking setup, because I shot my dink and he died right on the property line, which was, I don't know, it's stone's throw away from the neighbor's tree stand that didn't used to be there last year, or since before the damn hayfield was there. Not technically hunting the field, but I mean, he's definitely catching traffic right off of there, and he's right on the property line, and he's facing the damn thing. But just to his left, about 20 yards, is a nice fucking feeder hanging from a stand.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's freaking legal. Totally legal.
And what hurts the most is I was on the Woodsman. Or no. I wasn't even on the Woodsman. I was stalking his profile because I learned who it was. Randomly, after I shot my buck, everything was all said and done. The day before I shot my buck, he shot a 10-pointer out of that stand. Pissed me off.
Well,
only because I know it's illegal.
So you know that bothers me because I refrain from doing illegal shit. Not just because we have this podcast, but because I try not to be a horrible human being and I abide by the law 99.9% of the time. Speeding doesn't count.
Say
fuck off. Drunk. Legally impaired for me does not mean the same thing as everybody else, trust me. But as far as hunting goes, I'm legal beagle all the time. Got my tags, got my orange, stay on my own property. Been tempting this year, but a mile down the road from me, not even a mile, I have one neighbor that shoots him with a 30-06. Same neighbor has also told me he shoots him with a spotlight and a 22 in the throat in my bean field, but that hasn't happened for years. Now you're telling me that the neighbor, not even a mile, like 3/4 of a mile down the road, shoots him off a feeder. And I'm wondering why I'm having trouble getting deer in my field or coming through my woods, doing things the legal way. So if anybody from the Department of Natural Resources in Michigan is listening to this, I've seen the guys running up and down the road a lot. I mean, obviously I'm at work a lot more now. Now that regular gun season's over and whatnot, they're kind of cracking down like, hey man, we really need this stuff welded. Can you hit 40 hours? That'd be great. Fuck, all right. Yeah, I suppose. I got a couple deer in the freezer. I'm not going to starve to death this year. It's fine. But I see people throwing out corn. I see people shooting across train tracks, shooting across property lines. They got timed out feeders. They're trespassing. Like
the feeder thing is what gets me. Only because but here's my thing about hunting over a bait pile. Like I used to do it. I think a lot of us used to.
Me too. When it was legal.
When it was legal and when I was younger. Now I'm just saying, if that guy having a feeder right there, you don't fucking need it.
No, he's next to a hayfield.
Just hunt, read sign, and hang your stand where it needs to be. I mean, how you're fucking hunting between bedding and fucking food. Give me a fucking break, dude. How hard can this be? Now, I grew up hunting out of my parents' house. Me and my brother were just talking about this. I never got a chance to hunt off a feed. We had bait piles when we were younger, but even before it was illegal, we stopped doing that just because it's like, if you want to shoot a decent sized buck, the chances of them coming into a fucking pile of corn,
right?
I mean, it happens. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's like, I'd rather you got a better chance, especially where we're hunting, catching him chasing a fucking doe to and from, or going to his bedding, or what I mean. Like you're forced to learn more about deer and their habits to hunt them.
That is how you wind up with the bigger ones consistently. I have also seen there's a difference between a feeder that goes year round and just sprays corn on the ground every other night, and somebody dumping out a gallon or two of corn or apples on the ground to stop a deer for a bow shot or get them in this shooting lane. That I don't have a problem with nearly as much as somebody running a feeder year round and hunting over that and building a habit for the animal, knowing there's food there all the time.
Dinner bell.
Yes. That I look at as cheating. Now, if you go out there and it's late doe season and there's nothing coming out and you dump a bucket of corn on the ground and that's that, I ain't going to say shit about nothing. Like, I don't care. Like, you're not building habits. You're not causing CWD spread.
No.
You're not doing anything like that. But if you feed them fuckers year round, you're part of the problem.
I'm glad you put it like that because it brings up a good point. If we could bait, I would bait up north.
Right.
I would throw down a pile of corn up there because why not? I'm only hunting 3 days. I mean, you go up there, you don't really, everybody's kind of got their spots, but the deer fucking shift. Like me and Ray used to have the hot spot. We didn't see a fucking deer this year. Nothing. By the way, Corey, my cousin, finally got his first deer at, I think he was 50. But
congratulations, Corey. I haven't met you, but
dude, it was awesome. It was I don't want to get too sidetracked, but he missed the buck, dude, opening day, and at that point I had 4 deer in the freezer. I was tagged out on bucks. I just had the one doe tag.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it, everybody else keep hunting. I'll go help them out. We all have a group text, and he said on there, he's like, I think I missed. There's no blood. Like, fuck, I'll be down there in a minute. Get down there. He's like slumped against this tree, staring at the ground. Those aren't his tracks, buddy. What? Because there's snow on the ground, and they're like iced over. And I'm like, yeah. Those are from last night, dude. Those weren't his tracks. So then he perked back up, and then we found where he was. Long story short, it was a clean miss. He missed. His spot where experience would have paid off, or at least having somebody there with experience to help him out would have definitely paid off. It was a big buck from the sounds of it. But then the next day, he shot that doe.
Yeah, I mean, buck fever happens, especially on the first one you ever get to shoot at.
And can I just say, like, I'm getting goosebumps, man, because it was a really cool moment for me. I taught Ray how to hunt. Ray was 42 years old or whatever he was when, I got in trouble.
Right.
And I couldn't, so I was like, here, dude, gave him my bow, taught him everything. Not everything, but I taught him the basics. And started the whole RFF podcast, and the whole thing was like, I want to just keep pulling people into this lifestyle,
Keep yourself engaged with it.
keep myself engaged with it, but I want to do my part as far as like passing it on. You know what I mean? Like
Almost as
get
like
more
retribution.
just pull more people in, man. Like people don't realize what they're missing, you know what I mean? And the main goal was,
No, there's too many people around here. Stop hunting in Berrien County. Please quit.
if in all seriousness, man, if that happens, it's not good for anybody.
No, it's not. It's not. There's a huge hunter density around here. The hunter population in Berrien County is insane. Southwestern Michigan in general, but it's good.
Just let me finish this though, because it was big. Because what happened was, Corey missed that buck, and we're back at camp, and I'm talking with Ray. Or actually, I was talking with Ray in the blind after I got back. I felt terrible. I was like, I was almost tagged out. Like, I love you, Ray. I love hunting with you, but maybe I should have just been sitting with him, like, because he's never shot a deer before. And I know damn well if somebody would have been me or you or somebody would have been sitting with him and be like, hey, dude, calm down, breathe. He rushed his shot. He didn't use his stick. Like he didn't stop the deer. He did everything wrong, and it's not his fault. He just didn't know.
Right. Having a little bit of experience and knowing that, like, if you're in the scope, safety off, and you can't get that deer to stop, simply going, hey, fucker, like, they'll turn their head.
So
they might bolt 10 seconds later, but they'll turn their head and stop.
Because I was on dinner duty that night, so I was cooking dinner, and Ray's out there with me. He's like, man, I was like, man, you should just sit with him tomorrow. He's like, yeah? I'm like, yeah, man, I think it'd be good. You got some experience. I'm not going to hunt anyway. I'd already brought my shit in. I'm like, you should go out with him. I was planning on leaving the next morning because baby.
Right.
I was leaving a day early.
Kid things.
So he's like, yeah, cool. So him and Corey go out. I'm literally probably 15 minutes from, like, walking out the door. I was trying to wait till everybody got back in from hunting, but, timing wasn't going to work out weather-wise. And I get the text that, Corey just made a snow angel, which means everybody knows what that means. Like, yeah, dude. And it was his first deer. It was, the dude's been hunting with us up there for going on 11 years, and had never even got to shoot at a deer until the other day. And then he just finally got one after missing.
Right.
It was a big deal. But for me, it was just so cool to be like, because Ray was there helping him gut it, everything. And like, he brought it back and he's like, you might want to double check that. And I did. I mean, everything was all cleaned out, right? That I taught him. He was able to teach him. It's just like a ripple effect. I can't encourage that enough for you listeners, man. If there's a neighborhood kid, that wants to get out, and the parents, they're cool with it, take him out, man. Or your nephew, whatever.
My brother's done that stuff here and there with, you say neighborhood kids, but just people that he knows through the gym or work or whatever. Single mom's got a kid or whatnot, and he's taken a few of them hunting before. And
it's incredible. To add on to that, a couple days later, I saw on Facebook Evan. Very quickly, I'm going to go through this. So I had my ex had kids, right? So stepkids. Evan was my stepson's best friend. Okay. So my ex's kid kind of got out of hunting for a while. He didn't want to really do it anymore, but his best friend Evan did. So me and Evan, back in, I think it was 2019 or 2018, hunted literally almost every day together. And dude, I was with him when he shot his first buck. I can literally say I taught Evan everything he knows. And a couple days later, back, and I saw on Facebook that it was just a simple selfie with him and his little brother sitting out in the blind. It's like, got my hunting buddy with me. And I was like, that is awesome. Because that kid wouldn't be out there if it wasn't for you. Evan, I mean, it's...
You're getting all nostalgic in your dad days now.
It's fucking cool, man. It's really cool. I mean, it's a dying thing. It really is.
Globally, I understand what you're saying. And even generationally, I guess, as far as, like, we come from hunter-gatherers...
Even on my Facebook feed, dude. On my Facebook feed is dead deer and dead coyotes. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Around here, like, that's what we see. It's also what we go after.
Algorithms.
What we look at. But I don't think it's as dying as people think it is.
I would like to hope not, but I really think it is, man.
There's so many more people in the world right now.
Let's think about this. and it's not directly related to hunting in particular, but trapping even.
Trapping, I will agree, is a dying art, which we need to do bad.
So like
That's an issue that I'm
California
having right
being
now.
the first state in the union in history to ever outlaw, quote, recreational trapping.
Fuck California. I will go out, like, if I had the resources, I would drill into their fault line, drop explosives, and ship them off into the fucking ocean. I don't like California. The state itself, awesome. The people that live there, 90% of you are the problem with the world today.
And 90% of them are in like 2 cities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys could just give us that landscape back and, like, go fuck off, that'd be great.
No shit.
To California. Like, some of you people are awesome. You probably also try and hunt that state. The rest of you, don't talk to me.
That's
Also, stop reproducing. There's too many damn people in this world. Think before... we're going to leave that alone. That one's going to get dirty. Just stop having 13 kids, damn it.
Look, you know I have ADD. You
Yeah.
just sidetracked the shit out of me, and I forgot what I was going to talk about.
You're talking about population numbers and extrapolating and whatnot.
I'm going to throw something out here, but I want to come back to it because I'm remembering right now. I want to talk about potential $1 rule in Michigan. We'll come back to it. Let that simmer for a minute.
Okay.
But I want to get into, and you can't wait. I want to get into my big buck. That I
You
shot.
lucky bastard.
I am not. I'm gonna preface this whole fucking story with saying this is literally the luckiest fucking shot of my entire life.
The reason people say I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
Oh, dude, it was ridiculous. So, my fiance's awesome. So, like I said, I had 3 deer before he was born.
She
And
also looked very irritated when I came back to the house that night with you.
she was. That's fine. That morning too. But she
Found it.
right. Anyway, yeah, I ended up having a lot more hours in the woods than I thought I was going to have. A lot more. Was able to pass on a lot of bucks and stuff. And then, like, really when the hunting got heated up,
Smoke another one, you fucking junkie.
right, it was just before gun season. And I remember it was, I told her before I went out, I'm like, this is my last bow hunt. I'm like, before I go up north, I don't have time to deal with one if I shoot one before I leave. So, like, this is it. My whole goal before the season started was I wanted to tag out on my bucks with bow. Last evening's sit, and I happened to look up, and I caught a couple, like, chasing each other around, and it looked like a small buck and a doe over in the neighboring property. And then they kind of went in this corner in the hardwoods, and the doe popped out in the corner crossing the hayfield, and she was 60 yards out, and I saw something cruising behind her, and I'm thinking it's that little buck, so I wasn't expecting much. And then that son of a bitch popped out, and he was I'll try to post a picture when this video posts. If I remember, I'll try to splice it in. But it was a good, was it 5, 4? It was 4 on one side, isometric, like a normal rack. The other side kind of came back and
Yeah, it was
out, kind of weird.
4 on his right, 3 on his left.
Yeah, it was a big 7, but it was the part with the side with the 3 kind of went back at a weird angle. It was kind of crooked. Mm-hmm. And so I could tell something wasn't right with him, but he was big. That was a big animal. So he comes out and he's right behind the doe. I arranged him at 60. The night before, I think I had another buck that was good size. Same thing. I had him at the same spot and I couldn't turn him around. Well, I did a little tending grunt, got his attention, flicked his tail and went to go take another step, and I just let it loose. Did the stiff-legged it all the way down the tree line, dude, all bristled up. Came in so fast I couldn't even draw on him until he got the tree that I was sitting in was between me and him. So that was kind of awkward, the draw anyway. So I drew, and he popped out right where he needed to. Put the pin on him. Right before I could hit the trigger, he turned. He must have smelled my scent key. The wind was blowing right there. And he came right in. I mean, he was from me to the end of the damn table almost. Up in a tree, looking right at me. So I, put the pin at the bottom of his white patch. And it should have been money. I shot. I heard a thud. The arrow was sticking out pretty much the entire length as he turned around, and I watched it pop out about halfway through the field. from the front is what it looked like. And I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, I've hunted all season long waiting for this moment. It came down to a 5-yard shot and I missed by 12 fucking inches. Are you shitting me? And I couldn't figure it out. Well, he's running, and I talked about earlier, first thing I did was grab my grunt call out of habit. Blah, blah, blah. And sure as fuck, the first time I ever seen it work, the fucking thing stopped, turned around, and came right back at me. I had already taken my rangefinder and stuck it in my pocket, so I wasn't ready because I, honest to God, didn't expect that to actually fucking work. But he came back out, blood pouring down his shoulder, which was like the outside of his shoulder, which is weird. Cause like I said, I thought I hit him, for the video people, thought I hit him like here, and he was bleeding out of here. I'm like, what the hell? And but it was pouring down his leg. He caught me, I glassed him at 54 yards. And you've seen me shoot 50.
Yeah,
it was low. That particular shot that
it
you
was
pulled
low,
up.
but it was on.
Yeah. So, but the shot right before that was money. You know what I mean? Like, I know I would never do it at a live animal except in that exact situation, which I already hit him.
Right.
I need to put another one in him. So he saw me and he turned broadside. I had him at 54. I let it loose, and he was facing left to right. And I put it behind his shoulder, and I shot 5.5 to 6 feet to my left. Up and down, I was money. But I shot behind his ass. Again, to the left. I shot to the left the first time. Still haven't shot my bow since then. But me and you discussed it.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at your site and everything, your drop away rest and all that, and it's not your bow. It was your broadheads.
It was either my broadheads or I had the worst case of buck fever fucking ever. But I think it was the broadheads, because all those broadheads have already been ran through deer.
Well, you're shooting
and mechanicals.
So you're shooting the same ones I had an issue with the crossbow, because they're not crossbow rated. I was young. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was what I had. I had just switched off of a compound to a crossbow because I'm blind and I can't fucking see. Mm. But it opened up on release. And coincidentally, mine went left too. Like, hard left. So yours going left, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's why, like, what they do when they open prematurely, but I don't know. Like I said, that's one of those random coincidence kind of things where your shit did the same shit as mine. I know why mine did it. We think we know why yours did it.
That's the only thing I can think of, because, I mean, I'm not the best shot in the world, but I'm not that fucking bad.
Right, no, it's hard to miss by 5 feet.
Well, the first time,
even at 50 yards, man.
If I didn't take that second shot, I would have believed that I just had buck fever and fucked up that first one.
Yeah.
Honest to God. But that second one, I was like, that ain't right. That ain't right. Because, you know, I mean,
I get that.
And I felt calm and collected as I could, I guess, for taking that first shot. But still, I mean, it's a big buck, man. When you get a mature buck in front of you, you get a little shaken up. But I don't feel like I was that shaken up, you know what I mean?
And luckily, you did still have sharp broadheads, and you cut one of the main arteries going through the shoulder. Same as my brother did on his 10-point. And it's
again, I should post that video and dub it over what we're talking about, because I actually so I missed, and then I was out of arrows.
Well, that's when you called me, because I was double checking zero on my rifle for gun season, because it was like 3 days before opener of gun, and I get a missed call from this dude, a Snapchat, and a text message. Oh my God, you're not hunting, are you? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I open the Snapchat, and it's him mumbling into the phone with this deer that's just pouring blood out of the side of it. And I'm like, awesome, he killed a massive one. And then I look at the text. I was like, oh, I need to call him. So I called you, and you're all frantic, like, I don't know what happened. I don't know where I hit it. I don't know if it's dead. I don't know what's happening. I'm sick to my stomach. What's going on? I'm like, okay.
I wanted to fucking puke. I
was like, go have a beer. We'll track it in 2 hours. And I got my shit packed up and got done hanging out with Jake for a little bit and came back over. And it's like, hey, what the fuck happened, dude? You told me the whole story and ran through all of it. It's like, all right, well, we'll go find blood. we got out there, and from the video, looking at what was coming out of that deer, I'm like, it's gotta be dead.
You were the one the whole time saying that, like, dude, this deer's dead. And I had a good feeling too, but it was. Well, I have been on so many fucking botched tracks, dude. I was like, man, I do not want to push this fucking deer.
I know,
because I know he will die. There was a point where I'm like, he's going to die. I just don't want to push him.
Right, and I understand that, but looking at that video, I was like, man, I've made some bad shots and been on some weird tracks where, like, that particular sight on the side of that animal, like, he's dead.
Lucky as fucking.
You could almost see the blood in the video running. Like, it's...
Long story short, what I ended up doing was nicking the outside of his shoulder. There's an artery vein right there. And that was it. That's all. I hit it just fucking perfect. I, honest to God, think if I would have had a fixed blade broadhead...
You probably wouldn't. If you were shooting a Muzzy, you wouldn't have killed him.
No, I don't think so either. And like, I'm a fixed blade fan. I shot fixed blades for years.
I'm not. I did too.
The only reason I switched was because that particular bow, which is my brother's bow, because my ex has mine. Everybody's heard the story. But, and I still have it on my own. But that particular bow does not like fixed blade broadheads. At least not 3 blades. I haven't experimented enough with 4 blades or whatnot, but the easiest...
No, fuck them both.
The easiest solution, and I don't like Rages. I do not like slip cam broadheads. But I do like the old school straight back, which Knapp makes the Spitfires, which is exactly what I was using. And they work great.
They fuck up some deer, for sure.
Dude, all the deer I shot with them this year and the year before, when I started using them last year. And since then, I haven't had an issue.
That's the awesome thing about bow hunting versus gun hunting. No matter where you hit that deer with a bow, if you have a good broadhead, you're probably going to have a hell of a blood trail. If it's a fatal shot.
I got to fix it. It keeps sliding down.
But that's just...
No, I hear you.
I don't know, man. It's luck, but it's not. I mean, it's... You switching broadheads because you knew there was an issue. I mean, it also speaks to experience. I mean, yeah. I know you don't like Rage, and I shoot Rage, but that's a crossbow versus a compound, and
you're also you're shooting a lot more feet per second.
I've got guys that shoot Rage out of compounds too, and they're diehard Rage fans.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like with Rage, a lot of it. I mean, with anything, it's shot placement, right? I mean, you got to hit the deer in the right spot. But I feel like with Rage, though, it's a lot less forgiving if you hit it in the bone, like in the shoulder.
For a compound.
Yeah. For a compound. Like I said, for a crossbow.
And 3-blade versus 2-blade, I won't shoot a 3-blade Rage. It's too much shit to fuck up.
Thank you, because that's what turned me off. And that's what I was going to get to also, is I feel like their mechanics might have changed a little bit. Do they still even make a 3-blade?
I think so.
Because that does seem like a shit show.
I haven't looked.
If it all works perfectly. For those of you that don't know, everybody watching this probably does, but a slip cam, you got your point, your blades come up like this on a mechanical, and instead of folding straight back, they go like this. They slide out. And it leaves a hell of a fucking entrance and exit, but so do the naps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same shit. It's just the mechanics are a little bit different. But I feel like when you got 3 of those blades, like you were saying, there's too much shit to fuck up.
It's mucky. It gets there's too much shit to get in the way.
Well, if one of those blades catches a bone and doesn't go,
it messes with the others. Yeah, no, and that's why I went with the 2-blade. But honestly, I've cut through shoulder blades. I've cut through ribs. I've cut through diaphragm.
Shoulder blade ain't bad though. I'm talking like the bone. Like
you remember the doe I shot last year that I called you about when I thought that she was closer than she was or whatever happened. Like, I walked past the fucking blood trail.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I can't find her. I don't know what's going on. I can't find any blood. Like, I heard it hit her. It was the fucking... Like, I know I hit that deer, and it was only 50 yards. Like, it was an easy shot for my crossbow. First one walked out there and was like, oh, I don't see her. So I started walking, looking for blood, and I was like, I can't find it. As soon as I turned around and started walking back... I found her. Like, blood trail, spraying, punched hole inside of a paint can. Everybody's heard the bow hunting stories of deer just spraying blood. And get her cleaned up, and that rage went through a rib going in, 2 ribs going out, and it buried itself all but 3 inches into the dirt on the other side of that deer at 50 yards. Now that's some fucking power and working broadhead. I mean, I don't know what you guys are doing that's making them not open up, but those 2 blades, I've put through solid bone, multiple solid bones through the same deer, and it doesn't bat a fucking eye.
Well, 2-blade, 2-blade seems like it'd be a lot more practical to work correctly because there's not much.
Well, that's why I went with them. They're also a slightly larger cut, diameter-wise.
Don't they make is it the Guillotine? Do they make that?
No, that's a separate company as far as I know. The Gobbler Guillotine is a fixed blade. It's like
a fixed?
It's a fixed. Yeah, that's why it's only good to like 20 yards.
Oh,
it's like a paper airplane.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude.
No, some people have success with them, but if you're shooting a turkey at 20 yards, if you get a turkey at 20 yards, you're going to have success with whatever you shoot it with. You BB gun, pellet gun, 22, 410, 12 gauge bow and arrow. I don't care. 20 yards at a bird, you're probably going to kill it.
Yeah.
Whether it be a fixed blade muzzy that's got 1 1/8 cut or a 4-inch diameter Gobbler Guillotine that's going to take its fucking head off.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, at 20 yards, you can probably spear the damn thing.
Well, I feel like if you're going to center punch a turkey, I feel like you want a smaller fixed blade because they don't want to fuck up all the breast.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
I think.
Because I'm not trying to take a neck or a head shot with a bow on a turkey.
Well, that's the other thing. That's why it's a 4-inch cut or 3-inch cut, whatever it is.
Right.
Because you're trying to take a headshot on a turkey with a bow.
I have seen some pretty sweet YouTube videos, though, I will say.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome when it works out.
I'm not usually into those over-the-shoulder kill shots and shit, or like, here's fucking 3 minutes of turkeys getting their heads chopped off, but that one actually is pretty cool.
One that I would like to see, my brother sent me a picture earlier this year of him goose hunting. He just sent me a picture of the goose itself. He was holding it by the head, and you could see through its neck. I don't know how close this bird was, but it was a single that came in when he was in a layout blind by himself with decoys. He must have had the barrel like 5 feet from its fucking neck. I'm pretty sure the wad went through the neck on this bird. I'm surprised it didn't knock his ass out when it fell.
So we're going to get into one buck right after this, after I tell the story. But that just reminds me of when, I know I've told you this, when Ray Cole shot his first buck, or his first turkey.
Shoot it again!
Right, yeah. So he shoots, and it was windier than shit that day. And that we were in this pop-up line my dad put up, and like, we got out there and the fucking things collapsed and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? So I literally had a stick, like a pull stick in the middle of the damn blind, holding it up. Hold on, buddy. I got one warming up. Got a pull in the middle in the blind, or keeping it up. The wind's blowing, trying to literally lift the entire blind up. And we got a tom that's hung up on the end of the field. Dude, it was like an hour of calling and calling and calling. Finally got him to break. He shot at 57 yards, federal 3rd degrees. Best round out there for a 12 gauge, man, for turkeys. That is a badass round.
Better than Boss?
I haven't seen Boss put him down at 57. That was a 57 yard, and it didn't stone him, but it was flopping. So he got up, ran over there, and I was still kind of inexperienced when it came to turkeys. That was the first one, because all the ones I shot before then or been a part of, them being shot was they were just stoned.
Right.
This was the first like stomp opportunity, and I don't know what the fuck went through my head, and he wasn't thinking obviously because he was right behind me. I'm like, put another one in him as we run up to him like 5 yards away. Well, Ray had turkey load, then pheasant load. Well, he thought he had turkey load, pheasant load, turkey load. And so they had his head up, and when he went to go put that second shot in, he like nosedived and put his back up.
Yeah.
And he took that second turkey load at full choke from 5 yards away and smoked a fucking 5-inch hole right in the middle of the fucking bird. Killed it.
I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, kill it bigger than shit. It was just, I was like, you got him. And I grabbed him by his fucking feet. I picked him up like, that's a good one, Ray. And I picked him up and I could see his face on the other side of the fucking bird. So fucking awesome.
Like, oh shit, you got him. Damn. Oh well.
It was the luckiest shit ever though, because even for the pictures, everything looked legit. There was no meat loss. It was insane. The beard was still all good, but he just straight up punched a hole. A fucking 4 or 5 inch hole right through the middle of the damn thing.
Straight up gutted it for him.
Oh, it was nuts. So, everybody likes big bucks. Yeah, little wishkishke time. Everybody loves big bucks. I love big bucks. You love big bucks. Everybody listening loves big bucks.
My neighbor likes to try and shoot him on my property across the train tracks.
Right. We like big bucks and we cannot lie. But here's my thing. I don't like bullies. I don't like people bullying each other online with that shit. Because a lot of people, and I'm going to be completely honest, we've already talked about this on the other Camp Talk. That whole post and that whole bullshit that stirred up.
Shoot what makes you happy. Fuck everybody else. Don't let anybody else judge you. Same as a relationship, man. That's my view on hunting is the same as relationships. Someone else's opinion should not matter to you about who you date or who you sleep with unless it is harming someone else. Unless you are poaching animals, nobody should give a flying fuck what you kill as long as you're ethical.
And yes, Michiana does have some monster fucking deer.
Absolutely.
We have some serious potential. And that's why I want to get into this one buck situation. Because that kind of came up on a conversation that Chris made on Michiana Monsters. And
You couldn't resist.
I was just playing devil's advocate.
I know. You were bored as shit that morning.
Well, I was feeding the kid. Yeah, I was pretty bored. But, yeah, but I wasn't.
I tried to smooth over the waters and have a solution for both parties, but that didn't go over so well.
All I was saying, well, because it started with the guy saying, I don't want to hear this bullshit about, price per pound. You must be doing something right if you think you shooting venison is cheaper than anything you can buy in the store. Which, first of all, I hunt for food not because I'm poor, because I prefer to have a unique relationship with my food.
Yeah, he's not poor. I'm poor.
Right. No, you're not. I prefer to have.
Fuck, I'm not.
I prefer to
I
have
meet the poverty line, bitch.
I prefer to have that connection with my food. I prefer venison and rabbit and pheasant.
I get
and
that.
Squirrel.
I prefer all that too. Well, with the exception of chicken. Chicken's never fucked with me, but I got on such a venison core diet that the amount of fat in beef it wouldn't make me sick, but it would, like, you could tell it would kind of get my stomach like, man, that's been a minute.
Man, you throw me a slab of fucking prime rib down, I'll eat it up. I love beef. I still love beef, but honest to God, if it was, you take prime rib out of the fucking equation, but you throw down a beef steak and a venison steak in front of me, I'm going venison all day long, baby. It's just preference. It's just the way. I like it. It's healthier for you, and the bonus is, we were going through all the math the other day and shit. But basically, what I came up to is my shit is, we'll just round up and say 5 deer, all the meat I got, it comes out to like 50 cents a pound if you process it yourself.
Even if you cut that poundage in half.
Yeah.
What is ground beef in the store now? 5 something?
It's ridiculous. For a New York strip the other day, I was in Meijer. It's like $14 for
12-ounce steak.
No, dude, it was fucking ridiculous. I buy my tags, $20 a kill tag. Your base license, but I buy that for turkey anyway, so we were not even going to put that in the equation. One-time purchase of your grinder.
Even if you want to round up your tags to, say you got 5 deer plus your base license, so that's, $111 for just deer. For 5 deer, you have $111 in tags.
Yeah.
Now, grinder, so...
that's one-time purchase bullshit. So
right,
I'm not... don't even fucking include that.
Even if you want to add the one-time purchases in.
Yeah, exactly.
Say you add your one-time purchase. You're just your local hunter. You kill 1 or 2 deer a year, whatever. It's $100 for a decent grinder.
Mm-hmm.
I know yours is cheaper, but $100 for a decent grinder. Your vacuum sealer, again, $50 to $100. We'll say $100 with vac bags for a year. So you got $111, $200, $311. You can buy a cheap fucking shotgun for $250, $300. So you want to say $300 plus $300. Say you're around $600 overall for 1 year. Now you're taken care of.
Yeah, and I still feel like that equals out to what you would pay for beef in the fucking store, though, because you're looking at like what, $250.
If you get 5 tags, if you kill those 5 deer, even if you want to say it's 5 does, 5 yearling does, 40 pounds apiece. So what is that? 5 times 5, 200 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
Roughly? Is that math correct?
Ish, yeah.
40 times 5?
I'm half listening to the kid, but yeah.
No, that's 40 times 5. That's 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So 200 pounds times $600 is $3 a pound.
Yeah.
That's still fucking cheaper buying all of your shit in 1 year.
Oh, yeah. And that's what pisses me off. Because it's like, A, you're wrong. B, no, it's not because we're fucking poor. It's just I like eating venison over beef. I would rather feed that to my kid and my wife.
Right.
That's what I want. That's what I want. And the fact that, because they just get so, that community of people just get so up in arms about, you shooting that, shooting that small of a buck. But hey, hold on, we're allowed $2, right? And that's where this conversation comes up about the $1. And I'll say this, yeah, I mean, I am not opposed nor for the $1. I could really give a shit. But I think if it happened, yeah, you'd see bigger deer for sure. But I like on that post playing devil's advocate was saying like, well, what about mandatory APRs? Because they did that in the Core 12, and that shit worked. I hunt up there for deer camp, and I can tell you it fucking worked. There's a lot more deer in general, ish. There was anyway until the doe license, because they were allowing 10 per person before it was statewide, but it fucking worked. It worked. I mean, we went from seeing like no deer to if you did see a deer, it might be a fucking, maybe a small doe or a spike. But now, since those APRs, shit, Corey missed that big 8-point. My dad shot that. Would have been a big 8-point. Only had one side because it was broke. Ryan shot that big 8-point in 2020. And I've seen a couple just walking around. Like, they're there, it works. So it's like, is it so like, what's the right answer to get bigger bucks?
Hang on. So every single year since I was 18 years old, I have seen at least one deer on that one piece of property that is, by the way, nothing special. It's an open bean field.
That's literally all it is.
Over 140 inches. At least one. Usually there's 3+ that I've seen throughout the year in that one bean field that is 140 plus inches. So that's with 2 buck tags, only one having APR.
Right.
What do you want to say about 1 buck tag now?
All I'm saying is I could give a shit about if they do it or not. I'm just saying, I think if they did either, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but if they did either,
yeah, we can.
If they did either, I think it'd work. But I don't think it is. The statewide thing is where it gets sketchy.
See, I'm still a fan. I'm gonna go right back into the what Texas does thing. Everybody wants to complain. Well, I don't want to only shoot 1 buck. I've got too many deer.
Explain what they do.
Let me finish my rant first. Everybody complains about, everybody wants 1 buck, for bigger deer and whatnot. Well, I shoot bucks for meat and whatnot. And what if I can only shoot so many of these and I've only got so many does? And okay, so keep your 2 buck tags. But there's like half of the state of Texas. Now, I haven't looked up the actual law, but I've kind of glanced at some of the regulations and whatnot, and I got a buddy that lives down there. They go kind of county to county from what I understand. One thing that is for like half the state, from my understanding, is the spread. It has to have a minimum 13-inch spread like in between the antlers. The maximum spread for your restricted tag. Or it has to have 6 points on one side. So if you get this gnarly ass tall 12 point that's only 12 inches wide, if it's got 6 on one side, you can still shoot it. That's fine.
I think we need to talk about, too, like the racks down there are a lot different than here.
But they also have the other restricted in the other way, where it has to, I believe it's one unbranched antler. So if you get like a spike, you can shoot it. Or, you've got 4 on this side and then one wide ass main beam that has no points on it. You can still shoot it. It's one unbranched antler, which allows people to take the genetically inferior deer. Because you don't know what a fork horn's going to do. You don't know what a 6 point's going to do. I mean, to be honest, you don't know what a spike's going to do. But that, in my opinion, would keep 2 buck tags. It would also make bigger deer. It'd keep people from shooting the 1.5-year-old 8 points that are roaming around, the little basket rack 8s that have the great genetics that are only 1.5 years old. Like, that's the one that you want to pass. Or the 2.5-year-old 8s for that matter. Because somebody that is looking at a deer and goes, oh, it's got 4 on one side, I'm going to shoot it, is a whole lot different than someone sitting there going, man, how wide is his rack? Am I legal to kill that deer? There's going to be people that take deer and don't give a shit. They don't report it. They don't tag it. They don't care. If they're poachers, they're going to do it anyways. But for the guy that is like, well, shit, I don't know if I can shoot that deer or not. And then it's passed. That deer lives. That deer gets bigger.
Just the fact that they're forcing people to make a decision. Like so, for instance, I talked about that buck I was at full draw on. Damn, you were leaking. That buck that I was at full draw on, and I didn't shoot because I was like, man, I don't want to waste my tag on that.
Right.
I feel like, I know that's coming. I feel like if we were on 1 buck rule, I'd be doing that a lot more often.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
that's what I did
and
most
a lot
of the
of
year.
other people would too. But I also feel like mandatory APRs. So the mandatory APRs in the Core 12. So the APRs for your restricted tag, antler point restrictions, are 4 points or more on one side, right?
Yeah.
Up there, it's 3 points or more on one side for your unrestricted.
Right.
So basically a 6 point. I don't know. I feel like that, in a way, kind of fucks you because you're technically shooting. You could be shooting 1.5-year-old bucks that are 6 points, that are good genetically sound bucks.
Well, that's what I was saying
and
about
letting the forks and the spikes walk, but they could be genetically sound too. They just might be late born. You don't fucking know.
Right.
But
well, that's kind of what I was saying as far as keeping the 2 tags and having the maximum restriction, the minimum restriction as far as the spread goes, with an exception for points on one side, like this or this, which I say if they do 5 on one side in a 13-inch spread, one or the other. If it has one or the other, you're good to go. Or it has to have at least 1 unbranched antler. That keeps your fork horns, your 6 points, unless it's a weird with a 4 on 2 side, which it's fucking weird anyways. But for your typicals, it keeps your fork horns, your 1.5-year-old 8 points, your 1.5-year-old 6 points. Like, they're gonna live. They're gonna make it. They're not wide enough to be shot, and they don't have 5 on one side. It's like, that takes them out of the equation. You get the bigger deer out of that.
mm-hmm.
You've got the weird fucked up ones that have 1 main beam. Like, you're always going to have the weird genetic freak that makes it through that's well, it doesn't fit this requirement or it doesn't fit that requirement or whatever. Like, okay,
Well, here's
few
my
and far between.
here's my thing too. Another devil's advocate thing I was playing on that post was disease. Like, because everybody's talking about shoot more does, shoot more does. My brother actually was one that jumped down there, and he's like, "Look, he's like everybody's concerned about $1, $2. Nobody's talking about the fact that the DNR is letting people damn near shoot as many does as they want, pretty much. You know,
Right.
And what worries me about that is they did that a couple years ago. By a couple, I mean like it was like 2012, and EHD came through heavy as shit in Cass County.
It hit all
Van
of
Buren and Cass
Southwestern.
got hit hard though, because I knew nothing about it in Berrien.
No, it hit
It
here.
hit spots in Berrien, but I know for a fact it hit Cass hard. When they were cutting all the corn, they kept having to stop to move bodies out of the way. Cass County got hit so bad because I mean, there's a lot of wetlands in Cass County, and that's
Right.
what happens with EHD. Can you say without stumbling what EHD stands for? Because I can't.
Equine hemorrhagic disease or disorder. I can't remember.
Right. Basically,
I think it's disease, not disorder.
right. A midge that lives in the
Yeah.
muck. Once the drought hits, the
The
midge
biting midge.
comes up from the mud during the drought and then bites the deer, and they're dead within like 72 hours or some shit, right? Like
Some of them live.
once they get sick.
Some live.
You they?
Yeah, some can survive EHD. So
Not many. I know that year not many did.
right, but the ones that you see that have like if the hoof curls up like a fucking a gnarly ghetto fingernail.
Hank, lay down.
Good boy. So when the hooves like curl up and look like a gnarly, like an untrimmed horse hoof, like you've seen the, not the ASPCA, but all the videos on Facebook of like this neglected animal, the poor horse has been in a stall for 12 years and whatever. And yeah, those where the hooves curl back towards the actual leg. That is supposedly a sign of EHD. Of surviving EHD. Did he just like let one loose?
I'm sure you guys heard that, but anyway, continue.
So that I don't want it.
I'm trying to put it that way. Fucking stinks. Fuck boy.
But that there are cases where deer can survive EHD.
See, I didn't know that. I thought it was pretty much like 100% fatal.
It's mostly fatal, yes.
Anyway, what I was getting at is, so that particular year, they let all those doe tags go, and then EHD hit at the same time.
Right.
And it just decimated the deer population in Cass County.
Well, that's kind of what I want to get at as far as the $1 tag, $2 tag, 10 doe tags, 5 doe tags. Like, bro, you got to keep the population kind of close.
Well, now I feel like with this mandatory check-in, that's going to help out immensely because now they.
Wow, that was rude.
What?
The fucking you didn't hear it because you don't got your headphones on, but you just punched the microphone, bud.
Sorry. Both this mandatory check-in, that shit's awesome.
He's saying with the
Now we're
mandatory
gonna be
check-in, this shit's awesome.
Huh?
I told them what you were saying.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I got milk all over my arms. It's weird. For those of you
Titty
that are just
juice.
listening, I just got done feeding the child.
Yeah, he spilled titty juice on his arms.
I did. Anyway, the mandatory check-in is good because now, obviously not everybody's going to check in their does, which gets me to another point because somebody was saying the number of bucks killed in the state of Michigan that were checked in, like doubles the amount of does.
No,
Did you look at it?
it came across my feed today, and there was like 8 or 9 counties, and it was pretty much 50-50. It was close to 50-50.
50-50 as in 50% of the counties had that?
No. So it only had like 8 counties that popped up. Like, I didn't follow the link and go down the rabbit hole, but it had 8 counties listed right off the page that it had the buck number and it had the total number, and the buck number was about half of the total number. So it was pretty close to 50-50 for those 8 counties that were posted, which still seems wrong to me because I know you killed 3 does this year? versus $2, and I've
Yeah.
killed 3 does and never took a shot at a buck.
Right. Well,
I know.
here's my thing with it. I think a lot of the does aren't getting checked in.
That's what I'm saying, and I think that's going to cause a problem because they're going to keep letting people buy as many doe tags. Well, maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. I might be wrong. I could be totally wrong on that premise. I'm not even going to finish that thought because if you're not filling all the doe tags you buy, that means that there's not as many does as they thought.
Hey, I'm gonna
Right?
say this. I think Mitchell Plott. I think it was Mitchell that said this on the same exact post. Hit the nail on the head. Here's your solution. You get $2, but to shoot your second buck, you got to shoot 2 does first.
It's like Indiana doesn't earn a buck program.
Yeah.
Or they used to. I don't know if they still do.
No, they still do it in certain spots.
Right.
I think. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying about keeping it even. Like, you can't go out. You've got 20 deer. You have $5. No, you have $10, 10 does. You go out and shoot $2. You go out and shoot 10 does. What the fuck has happened to the other 10 does that are out there?
Right.
Or however the math works out. I know I fucked that one up.
You've been drinking whiskey. It's fine.
Yeah, it is what it is. But that no, but that's what I'm getting at is even if it's a 2 doe to 1 buck ratio, that's fine. You want to control population? Yes, you take out does, but you also have to take out bucks because the landscape can only support so much.
Well, exactly, and that was another argument, because somebody was like, "I don't see a reason to ever take out a second buck." I'm like, well,
What if you have a population where it's,
the
1
ratio
doe
is
to
off.
$3?
Well, what I was saying was, I feel like that's a great opportunity to manage your herd a lot better if you have the opportunity to take out 2 bucks, because that way, if there's bucks that are showing less potential than other bucks, you shoot them when they're young to take the competition away.
Right.
Breeding competition, food competition. It just makes sense.
Even if they don't want to go that route, take that completely out of the equation. You're not trying to grow massive deer. If you have a scenario where, we get into the situation where you have to draw doe tags like you did for years in this state.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. Like the number one people bitch about, people that shoot in dinks and 2 deer or 2 bucks and one of them being a dink, or both being dinks. So like, you can take out does all day long.
The
Yes,
does
yes.
are the ones that breed.
Yeah, that was it.
They're the ones that produce other
Like
deer.
look, I would just the way I look at it, just my general perspective hunting out here is if I shoot that 1.5-year-old buck, it doesn't matter what he looks like, because I've rammed this number down everybody's throat, but there's a 66% chance I'm never going to see him again. And you know what? If I do, great. Or if I would have, great. But whatever. He's gone. I shot him. He's done. But I would rather shoot him because that's just 1 deer, as opposed to shoot a doe, a healthy, mature doe that's producing how many booner bucks a year? Not even booner bucks, just bucks. Or just deer in general. Does. It doesn't matter. If she's producing, I feel like it's more of a detriment to take her out than that little fucking 1.5 years that you have a pretty good chance you're never going to see again.
So that's what I kind of want to drive home with the buck versus doe. You take out a buck. That buck, yes, it can sire however many deer fawns the next year. Can't do it without does.
Well, guess what? It doesn't really fucking matter anyway, because the bucks. What did Wagner say about
Josh Wagner?
Yeah,
The
mama. That's
half
all.
the genetics come from the mom.
More than half the genetics come from
Right.
mama. So the buck is just one little tiny part of the equation.
Well, no, that's not what I'm not talking about how big the deer get that come from the animal.
Right.
I'm saying it's just like you go to the club and you're out there looking for pussy. One dude can sleep with however many chicks in a night, but each chick can only produce so many kids.
Mm-hmm.
You take out to where you have 3 bucks to 1 doe, your population's fucked.
Yeah.
If you don't have a 2 doe to 1 buck ratio, you're in trouble.
Well, not only that, but they're gonna drive each other out because genetic diversity, not even genetic diversity, but just
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. In the end,
they're gonna get ran off because if you go to a bar and there's nothing but a sausage fest, you ain't gonna stick around, dude. You're gonna go where the pussy is.
Or if you go to a bar and it's nothing but your cousins.
That happens to you all the time.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm just saying. If you go,
You're only my cousin by blood. It's fine. Get the fuck away from me.
if you have too many bucks, and you're exactly on point. If you have too many bucks in one area, not enough does. The way I look at it is, if those bigger bucks will just either they're gonna have to fucking work extra hard to get the breeding rights, which isn't good. You're stressing them out even more. Which
Right.
ultimately, if you're trying to grow booners, you're taking energy away from his antler development. I just feel like it's better to take out small bucks when you can, man. I really do.
I think there's moderation involved with all of it.
Now, but like I said, if they switch to 1 buck, okay, that's fine.
It's not gonna hurt my feelings. I usually only shoot 1 buck a year anyways, because I try and wait, and I will either take something that has a rack broken off, something's fucked up with the rack, or wait for a decent deer. Which usually something goes wrong with the waiting for a decent deer.
Yeah. No, I hear you, dude.
Man, I wish I knew who was hunting across the train tracks from me. I wanted.
Yeah, that was pretty shitty. But
I wish he would have pulled the trigger.
just so he could be an asshole and call the law. I'm telling you, dude.
I probably would have beat his ass first, but yeah.
No.
Then I'd have.
What'd you do?
Apparently that cord's been caught on my boot all night and I haven't moved my leg. Alrighty then.
No, man. I just like people like that across the tracks, and like the neighbor over here with the feeder. It's like everybody's gonna run into assholes like that.
Yeah, but we've got one there and one there and one
I
there
know.
and one there and then the one over there. Oh, the other one over there is like, why do I have 6 people I have to worry about in a square block? Travis, we need help.
Yeah, but I mean, give the CEOs credit because I mean, what the fuck are you gonna do? You go walk on everybody's property and check out what they got going on?
You want me to take pictures?
And that's the thing too. Like,
That's what I don't want to be an asshole.
I don't either. And I definitely took a picture of his shit. Not even on purpose. I feel like it was in the background of one of the grip and grins.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh.
right. And
Oops.
right. Sorry. But I'm not that guy. I won't do that.
Well, that's the problem. I was raised not to tell on the neighbor. Like, you keep things civil.
But
But at a certain point, you're like, man, you're just screwing the guy next door.
So here is pot calling the kettle black because it's his property. What the fuck do I care what he does? Only thing that irritates me a little bit is the way his tree stand's facing and where it is. That irritates the fuck
Well,
out
that's
of me.
what gets me. I can look at, 3 or 4 stands from mine, looking across the train tracks into my fucking bean field.
Yeah.
Like, it's not mine. It's my uncle's. I don't have any right to tell them to go fuck themselves. But at the same time, like, dude, you're literally looking across the property line. I've seen you pull your gun up on deer in my field. The one dude I literally watched shoot a deer in my field didn't call the CO. It's like, it was out of my range. John doesn't want me to call on him. He always says, keep things civil with the neighbor. He's always told me, well, I'd shoot across those tracks. Like, okay, I won't. That's illegal.
Right. Yeah, that's very illegal to shoot across the tracks.
That's federal. Like,
Yeah, that's no bueno.
I'm pretty sure that's called federal trespass.
I mean, like I said, you're always going to have assholes like that, but I feel like the correct way to handle it is to walk over there and deal with it. But like in my situation, because he's got a feeder and because I don't like where his tree stands at, I don't have a fucking leg to stand on. So I'm just going to be pissed off about it.
Can you see that feeder from your tree stand?
No, he's got it hitting pretty damn good. He did it all right. It's just, hey,
He did it all right. You can't see it unless you walk up to it.
oh yeah, I mean that's what it is. I mean, and honestly, like,
He was smart about it.
I mean, like I said, man, it's his property. Do whatever the fuck he wants, man. I don't particularly care for it. I don't have much respect for the dude just because he's doing that. It's not like he lives on a property where there's no deer. Man, you are in the middle of heaven as far as whitetail.
Well, that's what irritates me.
And you are using a fucking feeder?
He's in the middle of whitetail heaven, and what he's doing is making it harder for his neighbors.
Not really, guys. Honestly, he's kind of making it easier because they hear that dinner bill at 6:15 every night, and that's about the time they start. Well, before the time change.
You are his direct neighbor, but in a square block scenario.
But is he? Because he's got a.
Yes, because my field got tilled under. I don't have any food on mine.
Hold on. Now he's got a feeder full of shelled corn.
Yes, I'm his neighbor.
There's fucking corn every fucking where.
Right, but deer are fucking lazy. I'm telling you right now.
No, I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying they're at that time during most of bow season, I feel like they were on apples and crab apples.
During bow season, yes. Right now, is his feeder still going?
I don't know.
If you go out there when all of the feed is off the ground, if that thing is still spreading corn, I guarantee you they're like, fuck that barren field. I'm going to go over here in the cover of the woods and eat this pile on the ground. You want to take an experiment and see how lazy deer are and how easy they are to bait?
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying he's not like, it's not like he's got this bright beacon in the middle of the fucking desert. You know what I mean?
This is true. He's bussing.
You got anything else you want to add?
No, if you're in pain, man, we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, this sucks. Anyway, sorry everybody. My fucking tooth hurts super bad right now.
No, that's fine. If we need any additions, we'll splice in later.
Yes, sir. All right, everybody. We will talk to you next time.